been a while, not in last. I've seen him 10 times in the last week.
Rebbe Ephraim's here with it. And let's keep Rebbe Ephraim waiting so I get to see him. Okay, Rebbe Ephraim just staying and I get to enjoy you some more.
Maybe I could try with you once again. Place your attention on your breath. And just breathe into your body. You can invite the Shekhinah. We invited the Shekhinah already, but we can invite the Shekhinah again. And as well, makabel upon yourself, ahavta l'recha kamecha. And makabel upon yourself, all malchus shamayim. And just open up your eyes and look around. Chanukah, there's so many Torahs. I was looking at a Medrash Rabbah, Medrash Tanchuma by Leischa. Very interesting Medrash Tanchuma. In Vav, Medrash Tanchuma in Vav. Ba Leischa, speaking about the lighting. And it gives a mashal, it gives a teaching. It says as following: there was once a king. And the king was very friendly with a pauper. There was a certain pauper, they had a relationship. And the king turned to the pauper and said to the pauper, I'm going to come and dine with you. And the pauper already was within himself very confused. And the day came where the king came to dine with this pauper. And what happens is that the pauper is sitting in his house and he prepared a whole lot of food. He prepared the best of what he had. But the Matthias is, it was nothing compared to what obviously the king could have. And there was a knock at the door, and the king comes in. And the king comes in with his servants. And the king wanted to do the pauper a favor and bring some nice fineries. And the Medrash says that the king brought a menorah and placed a menorah on the table. And this pauper was mamash, full of shame, busha, full of shame. And the pauper put everything that he had to serve the king away. He went and he hid it. And the king turns to the friend, the pauper, and says, I don't understand, didn't you prepare anything for me? To which the pauper says, I prepared, but I'm mamash, the shame, the busha that I'm feeling. the bullshit that I'm feeling, I can't, it's too much. All the, just this menorahs that you brought, it's too much. And I put everything in the kitchen, I haven't brought it out. The king turned to the pauper and said, I'll mevatel everything that I brought. I'll take everything. I'll take all the menorahs. I'll take everything out. I'll take it out. I'll put it outside. I want you to be you. I want to be with you. I want to be with you. And the king told all the servants to go out and take the menorah out, and tachlis, the pauper sat with the king. Tachlis, when we look out at the world today, there's obviously, we can say, a tremendous amount of darkness. Chanukah time, Chanukah Torah, darkness. I mean, we don't have to make up this stuff. There's quite a bit of darkness in the world. You can say the emes, real boom, and everything else that's going on. Tachlis is the Chanukah is in the darkest times of the year. And if we look out at the world, people are struggling. If we look at the world, open up our eyes, our minds, our hearts, and anybody who's invested in speaking to others at Tzibur, there's so much stress, anxiety. People are suffering with their traumas. And the Nakuda is people experience a lot of shame. So I was speaking to a Yid today, and he said to me, he says, listen, I'm learning Pnimis HaTorah, I think I should stop. Okay, if you want, you can stop. If you want to stop learning Pnimis HaTorah, it's okay. He says, can you ask me why? Okay, I can ask you why. Why do you think you should stop learning Pnimis HaTorah? He said, because the more I learn, the more shameful I feel. The more shame I feel. That I'm trying to work on myself, and I fall. And the more that he learns in the world of Pnimius, the more shame this person feels, which I understand. He asked me, don't you feel shame? And I said, I'm not a raya, I'm an animal. A behemoth doesn't feel shame. I'm a behemoth. So you're a mensch. But the Nakuda is, it's a davar chashuv ma'id, that for so many people we experience tremendous shame. And especially when we're dealing with Torah and mitzvahs, but it affects every area of our life. We're told, the Gemara Gittin tells us, Nun Zayin, that the first midah that's shared in the Torah in the second parak of Bereshis is shame, busha. Now what we have to understand is how that came around. How did that shame come around? So as we know, in Gan Eden, Adam and Chava were in the Gan for 36 hours. We know we have 36 candles. We know that Arizal tells us that Chanukah is coming to Metaken, Chet, Adam and Chava. When Adam and Chava were in Gan Eden, they were what we call in flow. They were completely aligned. In different words, they were completely healthy, they were completely well. There was a very deep transparency in Gan Eden. The moment they ate from the fruit, there was a disconnect. And what that disconnect created is what we call busha, shame. And what we can say is that shame, ripple effect, echoes throughout all of humanity. And then the real Metzias is, the reason why we're experiencing a war today, the reason we experience any heartache on any level, as the Maharal tells us in Netzivas Sailam, Perek Aleph, and Netzivas Ava, Perek Beis, it's because of shame. And the nakuda of shame, shame could be a wonderful motivator. When we speak about shame, shame could be a wonderful motivator because shame is really aligning us to our higher values. That as B'nai Yisrael, as Yidden, as any good human being, they want to live with high values and they want to bring those high values down into their consciousness, into their ego self and live a wholesome, full life. And the more we're working on ourselves, if we do not understand fully how much Hashem loves us and appreciates us, and how much we have to love ourselves and respect ourselves, shame, busha, which should be a fantastic compass, as the Maharal tells us, it should be a phenomenal motivator. Shame could end up being toxic shame. And that toxic shame hurts us in every area of our life. And for so many people today, for whatever reason, which we'll try to explain a little bit, but the experience of toxic shame is heartbreaking. And many people are suffering. Maybe we know in our lives at times when we felt that, or with other people, and we can be in touch with other people. Toxic shame is really painful. And shame in general is an experience of discomfort, of disconnect. It's an experience of deflation. And that can occur either because of a failure, I failed at something, or insult, the person was insulted, or some sort of defect. And every midah that we experience that's a negative midah, the Torah tells us emanates from shame, is busha. And the question is how we hold it. How do we hold it? When I speak to Bali Tshuva, I hear it. When I speak to converts, I hear it. When I speak to a lot of from birth, I hear it as well. If people have certain defects, if people have been insulted, if people have failed, shame is there. And the nakuda is, what do we do about it? What can we do about it? The Gra writes in Sefer Ditz Nusa, he says that as we go on in history, there's a nakuda of erosion that occurs. And he says something which is quite terrifying. Apart from us eroding, we erode in our mental health, we erode in our physical health. There's an erosion of Torah. Torah erodes. And the Leshem explains it must be because if Torah is alive, then it must be Torah can erode like Am Yisrael erodes, because we're one of the same. It's the same with the Tsar of the Shechina, same nakuda. And the nakuda of what it comes down to is this disconnect. What is this disconnect? Where is this disconnect from? So as we said, the disconnect comes from Chet Adam. Rabbi Nachman tells us in Kitz L'Kutei Maran Kaf Zayin, that what is a Chayle Nefesh? What is a Chayle Nefesh? So Rabbi Nachman explains, okay, a Chayle Nefesh is somebody whose neshama and nefesh are not in touch with each other. When a person's neshama and nefesh are not in touch, it hurts. When a person's neshama and nefesh are not in touch, it hurts. And what's the root cause of mental health issues? We could even say physical health issues. There's many papers that have come out to share very clearly that even physical health relates to stress, which really relates to inyan of a disconnect between the neshama and the nefesh. It's so funny, we could drink a little something and it changes our psychobiology. It's a funny thing. L'chaim, brachas for Am Yisrael, brachas for Eretz Yisrael, brachas for humanity. May we get to act together in a healthy way. Amen. The inyan of Chayla Nefesh, Kitzur Lakutei Maran tells us, is a disconnect between the neshama and the nefesh. What is that disconnect? It's a lack of what we call das. And on a basic level, das is awareness, consciousness, awakeness. Das is the modulator that allows us to listen to the baskayel, listen to the neshama, and at the same time listen to the nefesh. And as we know, the neshama has its wants and needs. The neshama is in it for the long goal. The neshama will sacrifice everything. The neshama wants the best of the best for us and the world. Whereas the nefesh will not sacrifice anything for anybody. The nefesh wants it now. The nefesh has to have it now. Das is the modulator. Das is the part, consciousness. You being consciousness are the part that can try to persuade the neshama to work with the nefesh and persuade the nefesh to work with the neshama. Good luck. And it's a tug of war. And we are being asked to become masterful at the retethering and the reconnection of the neshama and the nefesh. The more we can become conscious, and the more that we can actualize what we call das tachton, pnimian chitzoni, the more that we can awaken shavisi Hashem lenegdi tamid our das, which is to surrender, hold a judgment, and quieten our world within, the more we can listen to the wisdom of the neshama and massage the wisdom of the neshama into the nefesh, into the ego self. And the neshama is young. The neshama has the mentality of a 5 to 7 year old. Pshuta, that's what it is. The nefesh is young. Thank you, nefesh. The nefesh reminded me. The nefesh is young. The nefesh has the age of 5 to 7. The neshama is old and wise, and sometimes impatient. And the more that we can retether to the wholesome experience, the greater availability we have to allow the wisdom of the neshama to come down into the consciousness, and from the consciousness to come into the nefesh. And the totality of that experience is that we live healthier, we feel better, we are richer in our experiences. And the Nakuda of Chanukah, the Sfarim explain, people experience, I think the Sfarim was speaking to me, but people experience Yeridas. People experience Yeridas during Chanukah. One reason why they experience Yeridas is because you're relating just to the Ner. The Ner, in a certain respect, is the purest expression of the Shekhinah. The Ner is Nun Reish, which is Neshama Ruach HaNefesh. It's the most perfect alignment. We're staring, we're looking into a mirror when we look at the Ner. But we're looking at the Ner balanced and integrated perfectly. It just is. It is what it is. And Tachlis is that when we're looking at the Ner, there's a lot of shame. At times there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of simcha, but there's a lot of shame as well. And the reason why that is because we've been in exile for such a long time. And the moshel of the Ner to the nimshal of what is touching within, in our lives it hurts. I don't know, does anyone else feel, you felt shame? Yeah? You felt shame? Oh, it's impressive, you felt shame? It's not easy. You felt shame as well, Ramona felt shame? He's just a bad guy if he can't say he felt shame, yeah. But this nakuda of busha, and the toxic busha we feel today, you know, I remember when I was with my father, I remember many, many years ago, we were in the Normandy Hotel in Bournemouth. We went for a share, and I think Rabbi Yoda was there.
That's where they are now.
That's where they are now. And we went for a share, and I remember there was a yid there was a family there, and they had a son who was completely what it looked like fly, as they say, completely not connected to Yiddishkeit. And I remember my father was speaking to him a little bit, about 5 minutes my father was speaking to him. And he said to the parents, I want to tell you something. After speaking to your son, I can testify your son has no problem with Hashem and the Torah. Hashem, Mamash, and the Torah has no problem with him. He has a problem with you as parents and the teachers. And Tachlis is that, I'll tell you as well, that in private, I saw him yesterday, make a bracha on food. And I'm not telling you that just to show nachas. I'm telling you that because you have to, as your parents, act together, and the teachers have to get the act together. How many people, they don't know what to do with themselves? How many people, they do not know what to do with themselves? They're feeling this brokenness within, this disconnect within. They don't know how to deal with it. Whereas Chanukah is the message in exile of the challenge, Chanukah is the message of healing as well. Because Tachlis, Hashem doesn't want to hurt us. This Yid, when this Yid faced the king and told the king, I feel so much shame. The king said, I'll get rid of the menorah. I'll get rid of it because I just want you. The avodah is to realize that the menorah that we light is the answer to the challenges we face. We're experiencing stress, we're experiencing anxiety and traumas. And Hashem tells us, light the menorah and know that it's Aron HaKohen, Ohev Shalom V'Roida Shalom. Don't look at the menorah as a sign of my wealth. I need you to light the menorah to remind yourself that healing is available. Healing is available. And when you realize there's an neshama, ruach, and nefesh, and when you realize that when you are aligned, you become a light. When you humble yourself and you heal, you become light. There's a Tehillim 18. There's a Tehillim 18 that we read. And it was interesting, I was reading it today. For Chanukah, we read it over Chanukah. So 18 Kav Zayin. With the pure, you act purely, and with the crooked, what it means, you will knock into shape. Ki ata im ani, for it is with you, a humble people, you save, while eyes that are haughty They will fall. Ki ata ta'ir neri. You, it is you who will light my lamp. Hashem, okay, Hashem, my God, illuminate my darkness. Some of the Sfarim explain on this that when we learn to settle ourselves, become more present, Chanukah, Ka is here, Chanu, the Chinuch is here. Like we said earlier, your incarnation is your curriculum. The moment-to-moment experience is our curriculum. So right now, we're in the best place. Right now, we are with the best people. And right now, we're in the most perfect time. Chanukah, being present. And as well, the Arizal hints to this as well, because Nachal, Lahadlik Ner Chanukah, Nachal, Rosh Hashanah Nachal. The more that we can heal, the more that we can be present. Which really is what we should be looking at as we gaze into the Ner. As we gaze into the Ner with eyes open or closed, when we look at that Ner in a meditative state, we see perfect, fluid, seamless alignment. And it's an invitation for us. You can do the same. Chanukah, slow down. Just look and gaze deep into the Ner. Just do that. And when we can do that and our inner voices can quieten down, as we know, Hashem created us Yashar, Yediyah, Shmiya and Re'iyah. Just become present, look around, listen. Chanukah, that's where the chinuch is. My incarnation is my curriculum. What is going on right now in the present moment is my tikkun. I'm always in the best place, at the right time, with the best people. Always. There's no such thing as that not happening. Lahadlik nechanaka nachal. That when I can create that alignment, everything just flows. And we're being asked, we're being invited over Chanukah, which is the invitation to invest in the redemption that we can achieve within the darkness. To be present. To always remember, I'm always in the most perfect place. I'm always in the most perfect place at the most perfect time. And I'm always in the most perfect place at the perfect time with the perfect people. Be'ezras Hashem, we can hopefully heal, create that healing, becoming more present, becoming more balidas, respecting deeply the voice of the soul, respecting deeply the voice of the nefesh. And just as Rabbi Nachman shares with us what a chayla nefesh is, may we mamash heal deeply, may we heal deeply. And just take a moment now to contemplate. You are always in the most perfect place, at the most perfect time, with the most perfect people. Just contemplate for a moment. Your incarnation is your curriculum. The moment-to-moment experience is your curriculum. It's your tikkun, it's your fixing, it's your beautification. And Be'ezras Hashem, through that, the shame, the toxic shame will diminish. Through the healing of becoming more present, Chanukah, the education is here right now in the present moment. Through that, Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach, the shame will diminish, and a majority mass who are experiencing the toxic shame will come into the healthy busha. And we can be able, Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach, be metaken, nachal, be metaken, chet adam. And all of humanity can shift into the next phase of our consciousness, in our redemption process, Be'ezras Hashem. Hi, Divina, ya, ya, ya.